I said to myself, this is my dream. I want this dream to come true. Am I going to quit now on my dreams? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
You won't, because you are saying to yourself, I want to quit. I can't do this.
Because sometimes people keep going too long and it's just going downhill, downhill, downhill until there is nothing.
Is that number one, you got to have the passion. If you have passion for any endeavor that you are in, you will continue.
So thank you very much, Alka, for coming to my Business Breakthrough podcast. Would you mind start sharing about yourself? What is it you do? What is your business? So my audience and me can get to know you a little bit more.
Absolutely. So I'm Alka. I'm from Toronto, Canada. I am now I'm a real estate investor, but how did I get into real estate investing? Prior to being getting into real estate, I was actually in the health and fitness industry. And I ran a very successful studio for the past 6 years. It was a boutique style studio. But thanks to COVID, gyms were very challenging at that time. So the end of 2021 is when I shut down my business. Uh, and I immediately transitioned to real estate because even when I was an operator of my fitness studio, I was an entrepreneur, and I did have other rental properties. So this was a very quick segue into from fitness to now real estate. So that's
Mm.
my background, and that's what I do.
Okay, so you 2021 you finished the health and fitness studio, and how was the studio before, and why you even started with that business? Can you tell us a little bit maybe
Yeah,
about that? Was there
absolutely.
any struggles, challenges you faced?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why I wanted to start my studio was based on my journey. As a teenager, I grew up in London, in the UK. I would say chubby. I was very chubby. I was bullied.
Mm.
Lost my confidence, lost my self-esteem when I would walk into a gym. For that very first time, I was so nervous because of the way physically I looked.
Yeah.
And that's what inspired me to open the studio based on my journey.
Mm.
So I did not want other women who would walk in to feel conscious about their bodies.
Mhm.
I made it a very welcoming community.
Okay, okay. So it was about the experience when people are walking in, so they don't need to be ashamed. They can go in and they can be okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
interesting, yeah. Because you mentioned that you've been chubby when you were a teenager, and that was the reason you started. I mean, myself, I don't particularly like gyms as much to go in. I run different sports, but I had this period when I would go, and I was like, okay, I want to do something. Let's go to the gym. Let's try it. And even for me, felt awkward. And it not that I was, chubby or not in shape as much, but I really didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went there and everybody was doing their thing. And I'm like, what is it I'm doing on these machines?
Right.
And I had to ask the owner, which was feeling, because it's like a smaller gym, was feeling even more awkward. And after told me a few things to do, and after 4 days I couldn't walk. And I'm like, what? But yeah, but
He
I can
pushed
understand
you. Yeah.
sometimes how people can feel if to feel welcome or before you kind of join that group fully, and you are
Yeah.
one of them. You are one of them, and you are feeling good to be coming because it's about community. If you are coming, yeah, that's good. And the business itself, was it a good business? Was it profitable? Have you been growing it well? Were there any challenges in that business which you might want to share? Because obviously people learn a lot of from these challenges. If something was maybe not going the way you wanted, but you overcome it.
Absolutely. That's a great question. The challenges, because that was the business. I knew nothing about the health and fitness space, but it was what I wanted to do. And I did not give up on my goals. And I think what's interesting as entrepreneurs, it doesn't matter what business we get into, we should not quit. And oftentimes, our mindset will say, oh, but wait a minute. I want to do this, but oh my gosh, can I do this? We're always affirming to ourselves the negative. Oh, but I can't do this. Oh, but I won't be successful. Oh, you know what? And the list goes on. And I never said that to myself. And so the challenges that I really faced was to get permits, because I had to have permits for everything, for the electrician, for the electrical.
Mm,
I had to get permits for that. And every month I had to get permits. If I said to myself, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, oh my gosh, but I won't be able to do this. No, not once did I say that I could not do it. I said to myself, as it was during pre-construction, I said to myself, this is my dream. I want this dream to come true. Am I
mm,
going to quit now on my dreams? No, I'm not.
mm,
And I want your audience to know that, if we go through those hard times with anything, just don't quit. And
mm,
so the challenges that I really faced was being a solo, was that, I was a solopreneur. I was a one-woman show doing everything. I was the marketing, I was the sales, I was, hiring staff. I was everything. And I guess upon reflecting on that was, I should have gone out more to have people help me out. But I didn't do that. And even though I didn't hire other teams, I was a one woman show. I ran a successful business for 6 years.
mm.
So I'm proud of that.
Yeah, you should be. Yeah, should be. It's very good. Yeah. And it's also like when many people, I think a lot of people, they start being sole entrepreneurs, I believe. They start, they are growing, right? And after, we've been the same. Um, and after you realize that, yeah, you need people and things like that. So you might do it in that business as well as growing, but as you get to a certain level, and let's say you want to open new business, from the new business you are already thinking that you need the people from the day one. So it's kind of saving the time of being a sole entrepreneur from day one, and you are actually calculating everything like, okay, but I need that employees from day one so I can focus on the different maybe higher tasks. And it's I think the learning, like I used to have a food truck business. I was just myself, right? I obviously had
Right.
help on the festivals and I would pay them. Then we started this uh, property business in here in UK and holiday-led management. And it was just me and my business partner. And before we hire someone, but now in January we started another business, which is like a laundrette. We knew from day one we just cannot be doing it ourselves. So we know we need people from day one, and that's speeding up the process so much with that
Mm-hmm.
process that you have
Mm-hmm.
those people. But I think people need to go through those phases so they can face those challenges rather than just to do it right away because the employees also can play with you. So
Right. Vincent, can I just tag on to what you just said, because that was an
absolutely.
amazing point. That
Yeah.
was an amazing point. People do have to go, as entrepreneurs, we do have to go through challenges, because the challenges, I believe, is what makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Challenges are the breakthroughs that you are going to have. If you don't experience the challenges, or if you don't go through the adversities in your life, how are you going to grow? How are you going to experience as to the next level that you are going through?
Yeah.
You won't, because you are saying to yourself, I want to quit. I,
Mhm.
I can't do this. And so I believe that, the challenges that I had to go through, from the permits through, hiring the instructors, I had to do it. I had to do it. I had to go through it to make myself stronger, to make myself believe in me that I am capable of doing this.
Mm. Absolutely. Yeah. Like you said, that's how we expand. And I was doing on that note, still the training was with Tony Robbins. By the way, I'm a big fan. Don't tell JT. And and uh,
You're
and
gonna like him. Yeah.
I've done a lot of trainings with him. And one of the things was he was sharing that is about this expansion. It was like he was sharing on this. It's a very simple kind of thing. Like it's me in here, and now the problems are showing up. Right. This is my kind of things what I can manage. So problem shows in here. I can solve that problem. It's in the circle of my problems I can solve. And now something shows in here, and now I either don't do it and quit, and then
Mm-hmm.
another problem shows one, but just solve one, the whole comfort zone or what I can solve is much bigger, right? And I was running a mastermind actually last week in Scotland, and it was an interesting situation because one guy came and the mastermind was a very rural location that like you drive on the very stones, like it's not a very nice road to
Yeah.
drive. Um, so he heard something like noise in the car, and basically he came, and at the end he said like he's leaving. He's very young, but he said like he's leaving. He doesn't have a good day, and he thinks his car, something happened with his car. It's kind of broken, and that is like maybe something going on. And uh, and I'm like, that's the reason you will be leaving the mastermind when you paid for, like for 3 days. That's what we really want to do because of a car that might something happen with your car. And even though if something happened to your car, you're not going to help it now. So you can
Mm.
still stay here, learn from the other business people, and then after 3 days go and we can fix it and we can deal with that. But it's not going to
Right.
happen now. But his mindset wasn't ready for that. He wasn't in the right state, and he didn't know how to snap from that and change. And he just saw a problem and the car and maybe some money to be spent. And I'm like, when you're gonna be doing more things in the business, some dent in the car or stone, it's nothing. Like there are bigger things you're gonna be facing than a car. And
Yeah.
be happy you are here, you are alive, you appreciate the
Mm-hmm.
things. And he wouldn't understand it, and he left. And uh,
Oh, wow.
and you can see like when somebody is like young, but he's like he's just 21 or something. You can see like he didn't experience those things yet, so he sees this a big problem, and I'm seeing like nothing, you know. And
Mm.
so that was an interesting thing. But you mentioned that you ran this health and fitness for 6 years. Obviously, you had to shut down 2021. We obviously knows COVID. I also shut down the cafe, unfortunately. Um, but the question is, which I also experienced, and I know I'm going to be experiencing more, is when you are running a business and you are thinking like, yes, keep going, don't quit. And and then obviously health and fitness 6 years, but you decided to end that one and continue a different real estate, which we're gonna tap into it. So when is the point when you say like maybe I'm gonna keep going, but maybe with not with this business, but I'm maybe gonna transition to something different? Because sometimes people keep going too long and it's just going downhill, downhill, downhill until there is nothing. So how to kind of find out the point where it's still in that business or maybe something different? How do people know?
That's a $1 million question. What I would say from my perspective, I mean, every individual is different, but I would have continued running my fitness studio because I believe, Vincent, is that number one, you got to have the passion. If you have passion for any endeavor that you are in, you will continue, right? You will continue because you are so passionate. You want to help people. You want to so whether you're in the health and fitness space, whether you're a speaker, whether you're um a coach of any kind, you are passionate. And I believe if you're passionate, is you're never going to run out of not wanting to do that business that you're in. I had to stop because it was COVID. So I had no choice. Otherwise, I was so passionate. I had amazing clients. I loved being an entrepreneur. I loved running the fitness studio that I had because for the first time in my life, I was also getting fit. I would sometimes be in the class. And, I enjoyed every moment. So for me, it was different. I had to stop that and, now move on to the next phase of my life, which is real estate. So I would have continued, but I think, I don't think people will ever stop. I think, if you're passionate about what you're doing, why would you want to stop? That's my
Yeah.
question.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't think you would.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it might be that in a time when maybe people are passionate about it, but maybe the finances or the business is going really well. So when
Hmm.
this is also happening, so people start being passionate a little bit less because it's harder. And when it's harder, sometimes you are thinking of maybe something different. So yeah, it's these things can change, right? And with the real estate, so where are you right now with the real estate journey? So you said you are doing it alongside your health and fitness business, then now you do it full time. So what is it you are focusing on? Is it commercial, residentials? I don't know. Is it in Canada because you also lived in the UK before? Tell me more
Yes.
about this.
Absolutely. So I'm now focusing on single family, so residential, single family. My first investment property that I made, that I purchased was the end of 2020. So still during COVID, I purchased my first investment property was single family, was duplex. And that, I purchased because I wanted to, rent out my property. So I just had amazing tenants. Now, what I will suggest to your audience, when you are wanting to get into investment, you got to identify what is your niche market. What is it that you want to get into? Do you want to get into single family, a multifamily, wholesale, pre-sale, prehab? What is it that you want? Because when you are crystal clear on what you want to get into, real estate can become so much easier.
Hmm.
And also, what I will offer the advice is you got to work with a real estate agent because you initially, if you just go out and you purchase a property, you're not going to make the ROI, right? So you got to know as to how much you want to make, what properties do you want to get into, what is your niche market. So that is, you got to identify your niche market. For me, Vincent, when I purchased my first investment property, I worked with a real estate agent. She, and also another tip, when you're working with a real estate agent, you got to make sure that they are also an investor. Why I say that? Because when you know you are wanting to get into, you want to become an investor, a real estate investor, the real estate agent who is an investor has the knowledge that they can help you. So these are my tips that I will share because people often ask me, how did you get into real estate? What made you want to get into real estate? And, how can I do it? So this is what I tell them.
Hmm. Yeah, very good, very good. And the properties you buy, the real estate,
Mhm.
do you
Mhm.
buy them and they are already done up, or do you do some refurbishment on them, or?
Yes, absolutely. So I don't do fix and flips. I just purchase, a dilapidated property that is run down. And why you want to look at properties that are run down, not that one that are just glamorous. You want to look at properties that are run down. Why? Because these are properties that, that are torn, that are very old from the exterior. So if you get into that, now you're fixing and flipping, which I don't do that, but it is well worth the investment because this is what you need to look at. And what I look at is on the other side is a property that is already like off market deals. You want to find out off market deals, and this is what I look at. So my agent, she helps me find off market deals that also will help you to look at off market deals. Where are they? How you can get invested in those. So I don't do fix and flips, but this is something that you can do. Look at rundown properties that will help you, that you can now fix on the exterior that will give you that ROI. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, good. I have actually a few follow-up questions in here. So you mentioned about the ROI. So what's the minimum ROI for yourself to go ahead with a deal?
For me, the minimum,
Hmm.
it's about, for the minimum, I would say it's about $1 million, like 1.5 average is what I will look across the board when I'm looking at real estate. 1.5, 2 million is what I am looking at. And also another tip, if
So
you're
this is
getting, yes,
the purchase price you are saying?
the purchase
Yeah.
price, yeah.
And the return on investment from that you are looking for, like compared to the rent or how much you need to put in as a deposit, like what is the minimum in order to go ahead with the deal? Is it 10%, 20%?
It all depends. It all depends on the location. It depends on the property itself. So yeah, I mean, I can never go by you can never go by the, gauge it that way as to was it 10% to 20% deposit, because it depends on the location. Location, the area, the neighborhood. Is it a rundown neighborhood that you are purchasing your property to, when you're fixing and flipping, like I said, the old properties. So if you're
Mhm.
looking in an area that's undesirable, well, then that is what you might be paying. You're going to be paying less. If you're focusing on a property that's in a mid-size area, which my rental property was when I purchased in 2020, was
Mhm.
in a mid-size area. So my rent, if I give an example, my rent that the people upstairs were paying me was 2,500,
Mhm.
right? So you can only gauge by the rent that how much you can charge as a landlord based on the area.
Mhm. Okay. Uh,
Because
the,
that's always going to give you that, the price point of as to how much you can rent. And that's also going to give you a price point of the area. So the area, the location as to where you're buying the property is always going to be the determinant of the rent you can charge and how much that property is going to yield the equity that is being built over a period of time.
yeah. Yeah. Perfect. And you mentioned about the agent, right? You said how important is the agent, and also
Yes.
being an investor, which is a very good point because sometimes I go on viewings. I actually do viewings because I do the same things as you do, and even if sometimes you get the owner of the agency or they would go with you, they don't
Hmm.
really buy properties as much. So which is obviously so they don't look a lot of those agents. They don't look from the perspective as an investor. Even the same with the rents, like a letting agent.
Hmm.
He'll tell me like, well, we have a house, and if I'll call the letting agent, any letting agency pretty much on that in that town, and ask them like how much I'm gonna get for this property, and they'll tell me £550 rent a month, and I'm
Hmm.
renting the property for 750 because I know I can go higher. It's just they don't know because they don't care about it. They just want, to rent it. They don't really care
Right.
if the
Uh-huh.
investor is
Uh-huh.
making as much money. But the question I have is, you said like it's good to get off-market deals, which I totally agree. You don't have a competition. You can strike better deals. You mentioned that the agent will help you with that. So how did you build that relationship with the agent so he will or she will pass you this opportunity to go ahead with those deals to show you first rather than someone else? How much did you need to bribe them?
How to interpret that.
How many coffees and lunches, like tell me more
Oh,
about this.
yeah, exactly. How much under the table deal does it have to do, right?
Yeah, it's like,
Um,
hey, I guess there's some cash, show me these deals. Come on, come on.
That's amazing. Um, yeah, no, that is such a great question because oftentimes, there are so many agents out there and everyone is wanting your business, right? Everyone is wanting a business. But this particular agent, I happen to know her through one of the events that I went like
Mhm,
8 years ago, right? 8 years
mhm,
ago, I had this agent. So 8 years ago, I had to put myself out there. I had to go to events. I had to meet with people. And if you do not have an agent, what you need to do, first of all, you need to go out there. You need to introduce yourself. You need to be in the proximity of other realtors, agents, brokers, lenders, and all these individuals are going to help you in your first deal.
mhm,
So you cannot expect, I could not just sit around and have people just come to me. No, it doesn't work like that way. If
mhm,
you want to deal, especially real estate, if you want to deal and then knowing that there is so much competition,
mhm,
you got to go after. So I had to be the one to go out and to do that.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's for sure. It's yeah, I think when you buy your first investment property, or you kind of show the agent that you are serious,
Hmm.
they want to work with you. But I think sometimes it's difficult the first one because they don't know, because there is so many people going as like, yeah, I'm gonna buy properties and I'm a property investor and I'll do that. And after they don't do anything, and I think the agents can feel disappointed. They thought they have a buyer and they pulled out. So I think when you do the first buy, that kind of help, right?
Yeah, you know what? Vice versa. So, I mean, when I say vice versa, I'm actually talking about you as the investor who is wanting to buy the property. So when you buy your first investment property, like I did, then your second, third, and your 10th property becomes so much easier because you know the system. You know how you have done it. You know as to how the system is going to work. So for your 10th property, it becomes so much easier. um, I would also say that, the agent who, sometimes they may not be interested because they just feel that, they are already some, I'm not saying all of them, but some are already have that mindset, oh, I'm going to get the commission, right? So which
Mm.
is why I stopped working with this particular agent. I stopped working because she was all about just, oh, I'm going to get the commission. And there were so many deals I did with her. So you just got to make sure that you as the buyer, as the investor, seeking to buy that investment, you want to make sure you have to vet the agents that you're working with, right?
Yeah.
Just like the agents are probably vetting you, do they want to work with you? And if they do or don't. So vice versa. That's what I'm saying. It takes both parties. Did they want to work with each other?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's a key point. Yeah. Mhm.
And do you mind sharing how many houses do you have in the portfolio, or you want to keep it as a secret?
No, absolutely. So right now I have two right now in Canada. I have two abroad because I also invest in abroad.
Hmm.
And for me, for me to invest in a deal, it comes down to a lot of things. The deal itself,
Yeah.
the location, the country, how much is the NOI, the cap rate of that property, and the deal, does it even make sense? So another tip for new investors is that you got to find out what's your NOI. Before you even go out the door seeking a property, you want to ask yourself, what is that number? What is that goal you have? Vincent, let me share with you. So that agent that I had 8 years ago, we
Hmm.
viewed the six properties, right?
Hmm.
Five of them I just did not like. One of them I liked. And why was that? Because the one that I liked was a beautiful luxury home. It was a luxury home. I loved it because it was high ceilings, it was modern, it was beautiful. The basement in itself had a huge potential. Did the agent once ask me, is this in your budget? She
Mm.
was standing there. She didn't ask me any questions. So you got to make sure that is it in your budget. And I mean, when we went back to the office, she asked me, sign in the dotted line. She got me to put down a down payment, which I paid. But the bigger question, I could not even afford then to pay the remaining mortgage.
Mm.
I was stuck, and you do not want to be in that situation, let me tell you,
Yeah.
because it
Um,
was hard.
mm. And was that the house you wanted for you to live in, or
No, it was
no?
to rent it out.
Rented.
Again, it was to rent it out. Yes, it
Don't
was to
rent.
rent it out.
Don't rent such a luxuries for people. Just keep it simple for them.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I'm
that's what
just
I'm just
kidding.
trying to
Yeah,
say. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, but yeah,
Um,
when it's. I think I've like the better deals are just the simpler properties, like
it
where
is.
a lot of people
Yeah.
can afford to pay the rents, and
Mhm.
I think the luxury it's more for people just to buy. They have more money, they want to buy, they want to live in themselves. I think rented luxury, this it's harder to find the right tenants or in tenants. This I think, but I don't know. I don't do it. So, um, okay, it's good. And you mentioned that you invest in different countries. So, what about abroad?
Yeah, so I do invest in the US. I also invest in Dubai.
Wow.
So that is another area that I'm also getting into. And so, but anytime that I do want to look at any deals,
Mm.
it's always the numbers, because you have to look at, does it even make sense? Are you going to get the return on your investments back? Because that is also that's a bigger question you have to ask yourself. It doesn't matter where, UK, Canada, anywhere. Are you going to get your investment back? So
Mm.
you always have to ask yourself the question, crunch the numbers, do the numbers. Even when you walk out that door, am I going to get the return on my investment? So for that
Mm.
luxury property, for example, I would have, because the basement, I was going to knock it down, and I was going to build like a suite that would have their own kitchen. So it would be like a 2-bedroom suite
Oh, wow. Okay.
that I would have, yes, I would have, so the agent, I'm sure she would have, we would have screened for the tenants. So, but just do your numbers, even when
Mm.
you go out that door, what are you looking for? If you're looking to rent, how much income are you expecting that you will get? Right.
Mm.
So you have to always crunch
Do you,
numbers
and
anytime.
do you also do any joint ventures together with another people?
I do not, and I don't want
You don't
to.
like people, right?
No, I don't want to, because you know what? With a joint venture, the only thing with that, it's not that, you know, um, you never know, because your goal is different. Your goal may be different. My goal is different. And you have to find people that are in the same alignment as you. And I've seen so many, Vincent, I've seen so many people, they've got into this joint venture only then to fall out. Just like JT says in his book, Business is War, vet people, find people, do that. Sometimes people just they turn out to be so different. If I
Mm.
can just share a story, Vincent,
Mm.
with one of my tenants, he did not pay me. He was great in the beginning. He would pay me on time. He looked after my property. Then
Mm.
he went a little bit crazy in the sense that, he was living like a pig. He didn't really care about my property. He damaged my property.
Mm.
Um, then he didn't pay me. He did not pay me for that 1 year.
Wow.
I had to go through the landlord and tribunal. I don't know if you have that in the
Yeah.
UK,
Yeah, yeah, we do.
but it was so hard he had to be evicted. But, it was a long process that I just don't want to be a landlord, which is why I got out of being a landlord, only because of that. Because
Mm.
Ontario is a very difficult, it's not landlord friendly. In Ontario, I don't know if you know, but there are more for the tenants, not for the landlord. I
It's the
don't know
same.
about how it's in the UK.
Same. I know they are making the things even more difficult now. So a lot of
Yeah,
landlords are exiting because of that. So
right, right.
it's not easy to increase the rents. It's
No.
not easy to get tenants out, even if they don't pay.
Hmm.
So many
Hmm.
protections for tenants. It's becoming more difficult. So that's I'm focusing on holiday lets because guests in, guests out. It happened that
Right.
guests in and guests out, but the guests didn't out. He just stayed.
Yeah.
And I was like, you need to leave. I was like, no, I'm staying for one more night. I asked you to extend. I was like, yeah, but we declined. We have another guest. And you didn't want to leave. So that happened like twice in 3.5 years. So it's okay.
Wow.
But
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
it's much easier than the tenants. So yeah, I only have a long-term tenants and one property because holiday let didn't work there. But other than that, we have holiday lets. So
That's
that's
good.
that's perfect. So I think we are almost wrap with the time. And would you mind just sharing as a last thing, maybe just one thing? I know you shared a lot already for people to help, and if you feel like you don't want to help anymore, that's fine. We can just close it. But if there is one more thing
Uh-huh.
you kind of feel like if you are stuck in your business, doesn't matter what business it is, it was in fitness before or real estate now, and you are kind of stuck and you don't know what to do. Was there anything which kind of helped you to overcome that situation?
Mm. I mean, I've not personally experienced that, but what I can share from other people that I know, if you find that you are stuck in your job right now, you have to just shift your mindset, because your mindset actually keeps you stuck from where you are. So if
Mm,
you shift your mindset, which I had to do in some of my other, like in other life situations.
mhm.
I shifted my mindset. Anytime I was stuck and I was down, I just shifted my mindset, and I would reflect on what would help me to improve my life today. It's
And
just that simple. It looks simple, but
it's
trust
not.
me, it is.
Yeah, but let's say I'm stuck. Yeah, I'm like, oh, business isn't going well, and things to pay, and this. And how do I shift that mindset?
Well, have you shifted up mindset? You have to say to yourself, that's why affirmations sometimes are very, very powerful, because how you're affirming, whether it's negative or positive, we're not saying, oh, I'm
Mhm.
stuck, I'm overwhelmed, oh, but I can't seem to find this or
Yeah,
do this. you,
yeah.
you're you're creating a chaos. Your mind is chaotic. Because your
Mhm.
mind is chaotic, your life, it looks chaotic, and it will be chaotic. So
Mm.
that's what I'm saying. It's very, very simple, but you just need to reflect. You need to say, I'm stuck today, but you know what? Tomorrow, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to kick my ass, and I am just going to uplift myself. It's
Mm.
that simple.
Yeah,
Then you're
yeah.
not, then you're not, then you're unstuck.
Mm. Absolutely. I think, like you said, like, yeah, today I'm stuck, but tomorrow I'm gonna go ahead. I think it's just good to just even I do it with my kids. Like I see sometimes like I have like three daughters. Sometimes like they're like angry, something's happening, and I'm like, yeah, just let's go to bed. It's evening or something. Like we'll speak about it
Hmm.
tomorrow or something. And it's just the next day, and you have a new energy, and everything is
They're
fine.
fine. Yeah.
So sometimes, if feel like if the day is not going your way, sometimes if you had a plan to work till 5 p.m. and it's 12 and it's not going your way, it's just like, okay, let's leave it today. Let's
Hmm.
relax and let's go back to it tomorrow. And sometimes that helps a lot, just to sleep or something. And
Yeah.
could be, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you
That's
very
right.
much for sharing. And thank you very much for coming for this podcast. It was a pleasure to have
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely to meet you, though, Vincent.